Bridie, all my life I always wanted to be an attorney. And this show that we're going to be doing, Heels of Justice, makes me feel like I'm in charge.
I always wanted to be a psychotherapist, but I took the long way. It took me 40 years to get there.
But you made it.
Yes.
You know, working with the incarcerated population makes me feel, I'm so fulfilled because I'm empowering the inmates. I'm giving them the attention that they don't get on a regular. I'm giving them hope. And it's just a good feeling all around to be able to be in their environment for that 1 hour, 3 times a week, and give them hope. Mm-hmm.
And on Heels of Justice, our new program that we will be airing second Monday of each month, stay tuned, we'll be highlighting what goes on inside those walls.
I feel so comfortable and so safe. Even when I was working at Rikers Island, I just feel like that's where I belong.
Alicia and I clicked like two sisters from another mother, and it became love at first sight, and we automatically felt a level of comfort that I'd never felt with anyone before. I knew from the moment I met you that it was special. Okay.
We've got COs that are interested in coming on board. We have ex-inmates interested in coming on board, being a guest. We'll have a telephone here. Lines will be open for any call-ins.
Oh, that would be great. That would really be great. Because really what has to happen is there needs to be a change in our system today, in our incarceration system, and in our legal system in general. Because from the time and the moment that our young people step out of the house, they're basically in danger of being sort of almost like taken from us.
Welcome to Heels of Justice. My name is Alicia.
And I'm Bridie.
And we have an awesome, interesting guest all the way in Austin, Texas, Bridie.
Yes, I know. I can't wait to talk to him.
Austin, this gentleman has a child, and he has a certain perspective of today's parent and the legal system surrounding child support. So I want to welcome Perry Freeze from Austin, Texas to Heels of Justice.
Hi, Perry.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. So share with Bridie and I what your movement is all about.
Well, it first started obviously with me and having to go through the family legal system here in Texas. My ex and I separated, and we're obviously trying to establish a good agreement pattern for our daughter to make sure that she benefits from having both of us still around. Despite the fact that our relationship didn't go the way that we initially planned, we both wholeheartedly agree that our daughter would benefit from having both of us very active in her life. However, when we ended up going to the court, I came up against the exact opposite of that. While there is a motion to try to promote family togetherness and both parents being very active, it's very much on me to have to prove that I should still be involved in my child's life. And they have these base agreements that they keep on file that it's kind of like the nationwide plan for when parents separate, and one parent is named the custodial parent, the other one is named the non-custodial parent, and typically that non-custodial parent is left paying a significant amount of child support while seeing their child only every other weekend and then 1 month out of the summer and alternating holidays. It's a very common plan. But to me, when I got there and I heard all this, I realized that it was just not enough. I am not the type of man who doesn't want to be involved in my child's life at all. I love my daughter. I love being with her, spending as much time with her as I possibly can. And to suddenly being told by a court system that I would not be able to do that was ridiculous to me. And suddenly I was, they rush you through everything. They want you to sign on that first day. You have very little time to prepare for anything. And all of a sudden it was, I had to sign this agreement that was going to be affecting me and my daughter's life for the next 18 to 20 years. And I was not comfortable with it at all. And so I told them I wasn't going to sign it. And it left me with having to do this, what they call a reset. And so they gave me basically 25 days to get whatever I felt I needed in order to present a case which would allow me to have more time with my daughter. All of the laws that are on record right now state that while they can give you what's called a joint conservatorship, there's no guarantee of a split of time. That amount of time that you get with your child is totally dependent upon an agreement set forth by the county attorney's office, the judge, and so forth and so on. My wishes in that count for very little. So when I started looking at the language and everything, I realized that the language heavily favors the mother or the person named as the custodial parent, which in most cases tends to be the mother. And I realized that when you first file those papers, that's called the suit affecting the parent-child relationship, when you first file that, whomever files first is always named as the custodial parent. That gives them several different things as advantages that the non-custodial parent doesn't have, and I didn't see a reason for that, especially when everything up to your first court date has been equal. So I wanted to see if there was a way to change the language to make it to where when the parents entered into the court system, we were on more equal footing. I feel like instead of calling one immediately the custodial parent versus the non-custodial parent, perhaps they should be listed on those documents as co-parents until such time as a hearing has been had, the case has been evaluated, and one person truly is named the co-parent versus the non-custodial parent. And so with what I'm trying to do is not just help my own case, but also help other single fathers and other people in general going through the legal system, trying to establish their rights for their children and establish a more fair and equitable situation in which you can have access to your child, access to funding, access to child support, and access to overall representation. This is not something that we have right now.
Well, Perry, I want to commend you for taking this leap of faith and being so aggressive with the criminal justice system or the legal system. I'm just totally impressed.
Yes.
And now, are you introducing legislation?
What I'm doing right now is working with a lot of fathers' rights advocacy groups and trying to raise more awareness, and that way we're also trying to affect some more positive legislation. It's not about attacking any particular parent or side of it. It's just about trying to make things more fair for everybody whenever they go through the process. Whether you're the mother, the father, whomever, you should have more equal say and representation in what we're doing instead of it being so dependent upon who filed first, if you're the mother, or so forth. No one should be punished because of their genetics, is basically what we're trying to say.
Okay.
So right now there is a rally that's been planned. It's the Fatherless and the Fathers Advocates Rights Rally that's going on in Texas. It's this Friday, the 17th, here in Austin. And then on top of that, again, working with the other advocacy groups to continue to raise awareness and to work to hopefully get our congressman to introduce legislation to change things, at least here in Texas.
That's awesome. Now, I'm sure that the laws change from state to state, statutory law.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
So each state has a different system for how they want to handle family law cases. However, the thing that seems to be the same nationwide is that default agreement plan in which it's, again, the non-custodial parent only has every other weekend and then 1 month out of the summer and alternating holidays. It also stipulates that the custodial parent is the one that gets final say over all other procedures and also living arrangement for the child. They don't have to make any consideration whatsoever for the non-custodial parent's opinions on things. When that was brought up to me in court, that also struck me as very strange because in a situation where two people were married, one parent wouldn't supersede the other. So again, where everything is completely equal except we no longer share an address, I don't see why all of a sudden I'm considered secondary and my rights and my want to do whatever I can to benefit my child suddenly doesn't count. For example, the example that was used for me in court was, say something was to happen to my daughter and she was to need a medical procedure in order to save her life. If whatever it was I wanted to happen, whether I wanted to have the procedure or not, as the non-custodial parent listed on the agreement, whatever I want doesn't count. So if I want her to have the surgery but her mother does not, the court would say the mother has the right to refuse. All I'm asking for is for it to be as exactly equal as it would be if the two people were still together.
Okay.
Because in those situations, the courts don't get involved unless another one decides to sue the other one or so forth and so on. Up until that moment, it's all about you guys trying to work with one another to come up with something that you can both agree on. I want the same. And every other father that's going through this wants the same. We want to be included. As much as there are numbers of parents who try their best to not have anything to do with their children and do the whole child support thing and try to be as little activity with their children as possible, we're the exact opposite. We love our children and we want to be involved. We want to be counted. And that's all we're asking for.
In New York, if the father, statistically, if he goes into the court and wants custody of his child, statistically he gets it. So in Austin, Texas, I'm thinking you have a lot more traditionality over there. Over here in New York, the whole divorce system where you're both bringing in your lawyers. Did you both bring in lawyers over there in Austin, or was it through a mediation?
We were trying the mediation part first. And in Texas, you're right, it is more conservative. And even when you're doing the mediation, you are at the courthouse and you are meeting with the county attorneys to go and do that. So for the first day, there was really no need for us to have individual lawyers. The only reason why I decided to look into getting further consultation and actually establishing a lawyer was when they were trying to rush me to sign documents on that very first day. I was left with very little time to prepare for my first court appearance. I received my papers telling me that I needed to report to court within 5 days. So if there was even though they had a court file open for our case, I didn't find out about it until 5 days before my court date, which is another problem for me. They had plenty of information on file. They had all my numbers, where I worked, where I lived, and so forth. And yet, for some reason, I wasn't given any of the information until 5 days before I had to appear. My ex, however, had everything months in advance. So here, with it being more conservative, there is this notion that many of the judges tend to be pro-mom, as they call it. There's been a lot of talk of different statutes and laws and different codes that have been enacted to make it more fair. However, if you're dealing with a judge that is pro-mom, you have that disadvantage as soon as you walk into the courtroom.
Now, Perry, are there any fundraising efforts behind this movement?
Yes. Right now, I have a GoFundMe that started, and it's called Fight for Dads, and that's basically spelling out the entire story of what's happened so far, the different people that have joined on to work with me to research the various state laws regarding this family law in general, to also establishing fathers' rights, what the qualifications are to meet what they call the best fit standard, best interest of the child standard, for the determining who should have the primary care of the child. We've gone through a lot of different things already, but again, with my impending court date being so soon, which is July 1st, it's really been about getting as much, not just contributions, but also a lot of awareness and advocacy to just make sure people are aware that this is what's going on, this is what we're trying to fight for, and what the end goal is when it's all said and done. So
what's
we're doing a lot of work, but we could use a lot of help.
What's the link to support you through GoFundMe?
I'm sorry, say that again?
How would one support you through GoFundMe?
Yes, it's GoFundMe.com/Fight4Dads, the number 4, and Fight for Dads. And once you go to the site, again, it spells out our story, what we've done so far, and also what the end goal is, which is to basically use my case as a template for other fathers going through the same thing, to show where I was successful, where I wasn't successful, different ways you can file appeals, and to put together information about different advocacy groups in the area so that when other single fathers are going through this, they have people they can talk to. It's also to use a lot of that money to establish a fund for those advocacy groups, so that when dads do show up to them asking for help, there is an immediate amount of money they can pull from in order to get their own case file started, to file on their behalf, get the necessary petitions done, and basically get the ball rolling for them. Because as I discovered when I first started this, getting those consultations from lawyers, getting the paperwork filed, just that initial part can be extremely expensive. So when you start to try to, work for it to get all the money you need to pay that off, you end up having to take second jobs, which puts a stress on you, stress on any time that you're already trying to spend with your child, which is already in jeopardy, and it makes the whole situation a whole lot worse. So what I wanted to do was kind of alleviate that burden to anybody coming after me, so that all they have to worry about is being prepared when they get into court to defend themselves and fully establish their rights to their children.
You know, I would really love to see in this country a 50-50 split where both parents could actually fully participate in the children's lives, fully 100%, logistically. Because as a single mother myself of 3 children, I found being burdened financially, physically, emotionally, with the responsibility, pretty much the sole responsibility of taking care of the children. Even though he sued for custody, he did not get custody because of criminality issues with me. So domestic violence, so we're talking about. And in that case, I had to fight hard for him not to get the children here in New York. As I said, statistically, when men in New York fight for custody, they get custody, which is not fair either. So the 50-50 rule, I think, is a very good way to go, because it sort of alleviates the heavy burden on both parties. The emotional separation that the father has from his children, going from being home every day daddy to once every other week daddy, and the mother that gets burdened with the 24-hour, 365-day-a-week job that at some point everything breaks down because you can only hold so much, right?
Exactly.
So, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
No problem. I'm glad I got the opportunity.
Yes, I hope that the movement just spreads like wildfire.
I'd like to join your movement in adding another component. I'm a victim of being a single parent, and my ex-husband owes our daughter over $100,000 in child support. Now, this is an engineer that took everything out of his name so that he would not be labeled or taxed or touched any of his money. And it's just, there are people who don't pay child support because they can't, but there are so many who don't because they just don't want to.
Yes, so the divorce and separation of being with your life partner and having a child, financially, the ability for, in this case, it just happens to be fathers in the situation that she's talking about, and in my case as well, where the father decided to remarry and take off and forget about his children as if they didn't exist. So I had to spend $25,000, which I don't have, right? And go and find where he works, find out what he's doing with the money so that he could feed the children, help me feed the children while I'm working and taking care of them. So it really, the whole divorce system, the way it is broken. Definitely is. And
the way that the whole family law process works nationwide definitely could use a significant overhaul. And all we're asking here in Texas is just to have everything truly be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. For all the times that there are parents who don't want to have anything to do with their children and who go out of their way to make sure that there is no support given for their children, there are plenty of us that are more than willing to do so. But we're still being held accountable by laws that are set up to punish those that don't want to be accountable.
Right.
So it's definitely not fair to anybody. It doesn't make the family courts work any faster, and it certainly doesn't do anything to foster the growth and well-being of the child and the family.
Right.
It makes everything a lot harder, and it just makes operating in the system awful for any person going through it. And so all we're really seeking is for the laws to be, one, updated, because a lot of things are way out of date. I was finding statutes and codes going all the way back to the early 60s and 70s that are still being applied to cases today, and those things, our lives are just completely different now. We don't look at things the same way now. There needs to be a definite update, and it just needs to be more fair, more even.
Right, because the laws go back as far as the 1800s, as far as divorce is concerned, and the treatment of the marital residence and the roles of father and mother. So very antiquated, very British rule, very outdated, like you said. So good luck.
Perry,
Very much.
I applaud you again, and we enjoyed having you on Heels of Justice. When you're done with this and when you have your victory, you need to become a lawyer.
There you go.
I've actually been asked already if I was either going to work full-time with a couple of advocacy groups or start my own. I really don't know. My main focus right now is just trying to get through this, make sure that I have everything done for me and my daughter, and then to put together the information so other people going forward can benefit. So win, lose, or draw, we want the information out there, and hopefully it will benefit everybody involved.
Especially the children, because really in the bottom line, it's the children. We want the children to have equal access to their parenting, right? So they're the ones that benefit, and since we're so heck bent on keeping and maintaining the family, well, let's do it.
Exactly.
Perry,
Who knows how that may work out.
Give us that link one more time.
It's www.gofundme.com/fight4dads, the number 4.
Fight for Dads. Perry, thank you again for joining us. We wish you the best, and I know that your grandmother will be very proud of you.
I certainly hope so.
Thank you.
Take care. Good luck to you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, I'm Dr. G. I've established an organization called Voices for Veterans. We use music to honor veterans and to help the public understand what veterans have gone through when they come home from war. On October 22nd of this year, we're going to have an incredible show, a 3.5-hour concert at Molloy College, one of the greatest 500-seat theaters on Long Island. We're going to honor 25 veterans. We've taken an incredible band, 15 people from Long Island, some of the best musicians we could find, and we merged it with a 30-person choir, merging gospel with rock and roll. This incredible 3.5-hour show is like none other that you've ever seen. This is Grammy quality. October 22nd, you can buy a ticket, you can make a donation, you can get involved, you can help us with the committee. You can look us up at the4veterans.org and go on our website and get all the information about the show. Please make a difference to these veterans by coming aboard with us with Voices for Veterans. Thank you so much.
You smell so good, I won't have to bathe the next 2 weeks. Anything. So, here, laugh a little harder. All right?
I will take him. I would be proud to show you off, you little weirdo man.
Get a new sweater. The worst dressed man here tonight. Right? Look, get that laugh, and get it in there tonight because nobody else is going to laugh like her. She's under drugs, all right?
Welcome back to Heels of Justice. My name is Alicia,
And I'm Brady.
and we are all about today's criminal injustice system.
Yes, that's true. Today we have guests that are going to discuss their experiences with the criminal system and the legal system in general. Each one has their own unique perspective.
Absolutely. So,
And-
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So Valerie, I want to start with you. Introduce yourself and talk
Hello.
about where you were, where you are, where you want to go.
Yes, well, my name is Julia Nicholas. I am a former inmate. I was housed in Nassau County Correctional Facility. It was a tough time, just going through the system. I'm still fighting my cases. It's an ongoing process. Hopefully everything will be wrapped up in the next couple of months, hopefully sooner. But it's going. The last time I was here, I was getting into my photography, and I didn't have a stable job at that time. Right now I'm working. Everything's going extremely well with that. I'm actually with a group of people. I'm starting an organization called Good for the Soul.
Wow.
Yes. It's amazing. We have a little mastermind group. I've been reading this book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Favorite book. And basically, you just want to have people around you that are going to support you mentally and, physically as well. Just showing that moral support. And basically, it's a group of people who, just come together. We meet every Thursday and at my house. And basically what we're starting is a platform where people can express their creativity through music, the arts, and not just that. We are actually going to have a big event coming in August that we're getting ready for, where it's going to have different types of people speaking on different issues and music and people being able to express themselves, and poetry, spoken word. There's a lot of different and just better things coming along, and I can honestly say that things have been on the up and up.
Good.
You keep positive and positive things will come to you. So
That's
It
awesome.
sounds like somebody's been working with Coda.
Yes, I have actually. Yes.
How's it
After,
working out for you?
And Coda.
It's been
Go ahead.
yes, CODA, Council of Thinking Action. I'm an official member now.
Right.
It has been great, just like I said, just being around people who want to see better for you, and that it helps you to want to invest in yourself and do better for yourself. So that's working with Deputy Police Commissioner Risco, with Miss Lewis, and it's been great. Those meetings are Wednesdays at 5:30 at the Wyandanch Resource Center, and I would invite everyone to come and just see what it's about, because you never know who you can meet, and just really having good positive energy around you is really good for the soul.
Now, I just want to share a very interesting perception. When we started the show tonight, the gentleman to your left, Jordan, he made a comment. He says, you were a former inmate? Like, he was shocked. He sees a beautiful young woman,
Right.
a photographer, employed.
We went to high school together too.
Yeah.
Oh, you went to high school together?
I'm
Wow.
very good friends with his sister.
Small world,
Wow,
right?
it is a
So you see
small
how the perception is? I mean, what does an inmate look like?
Yeah. It's not, doesn't look like that.
Exactly,
world.
exactly.
Right.
You just never know. And we had the opportunity of working with a bunch in the male and the female dorms, and we loved every day.
Oh, yes, we did. Absolutely. We taught cognitive behavioral therapy education, and it was quite the experience to walk through that very old jail system that is not comfortable at all.
Unhealthy,
Unhealthy, not to mention.
the black mold.
And, well, quite difficult to get through. Valia really,
I'm so proud of you.
because really we put the word out there that we wanted some of our students to come in, and well, I have to say that you really are shining, and you are making it, which
Yeah.
is what this is all about. You joining CODA is the best thing you could have done. I went to a CODA meeting, I experienced it, and I can just see that it's helped you tremendously. And look at you, you're working. How exciting.
And code is not just for ex-inmates.
No.
It's for everyone.
I could-
Anyone that wants a plan for their future should definitely be part of CODA.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
And what was it? What does it represent? The acronym again? It's counseling.
Council of Thinking in Action.
Counseling of thinking and action.
It's
Yes.
basically thinking of yourself as a corporation, that you are the CEO of your life, and you need to really invest in yourself in order to make it anywhere. Really, your life is your own investment. It's not up to anyone else. It's up to you.
And that's the truth. So would we like to continue with?
Well, I just have a question for you, Valia. How's your support system?
Well, as right now, it's cool.
How are they supporting you and treating you now as opposed to what about a year ago?
As far as my family's concerned, well, I can honestly, personally, when it comes to my family, I personally withdrew.
Okay.
And it's of no reflection of anyone else in the equation, just more so I needed to get my own thought process together. So, they do show me that moral support. They're always a phone call away. Me and my brothers, we live together, so they're always there for me. But like I was saying, like I just withdrew for myself. Sometimes you just really need to take time to yourself to really put things into perspective, because at the end of the day, you are your own investment.
That's right.
No one else can do that for you. So that's what I did, and they're there.
Okay, good.
It's good though. It's all love, always all love.
Good. So Nicole, have you ever had any experience with the popo?
I was
Anyone
a
you
teenager.
know?
I mean, teenage fights,
Okay.
stuff like that. But I've never been incarcerated. Anything.
But you've had to deal with the police in some capacity.
I have.
No, not as a youngster. I'm talking about
I was gonna say even like current, but
in terms of the domestic violence situation.
I have, and I was just
Which we
gonna
share.
elaborate on how they handle the situations. In my opinion, it's poorly, because you can sit there even when you aren't really, how can I say it, being very honest about what happened.
Right.
Everything's like rushed. It's just another domestic situation. It's like they handle them the same way. Meanwhile, every situation is different.
Right.
And especially when you have the children that witnessed it,
Right.
that makes it even more serious, which is why they should, put more time into their whole. How can I say it?
Process.
Right, the whole process of note taking,
of evaluating,
the evaluation, the what do you call it, investigation, the whole bit. But it's like another one.
Disrespect.
And which is why I urge women to follow through with their reports and to stay honest. Because a lot of women go in there and they say this and that. The guy may get arrested, but then it's like he was charged with something that he shouldn't have been charged with. You know what I mean? And those that really need the protection,
yes,
like us,
yes,
we get the short end of the stick. You know?
Were you? I know that I was, but when you did the police report, which is a very important thing to do, anytime a woman faces any kind of violence, or a man, doesn't matter, husband, wife, it doesn't matter. In the case that it usually is the female, file a report. So important, because if you don't file a report and something else happens, the first thing the police officers say, well, why didn't you file a report? If something really happened to you. So now the burden of evidence falls upon us because we didn't file a report. Meanwhile, it was our asses that got kicked, and we ended up in the hospital, and it's just it's chaos. Now, you wrote a book on this topic.
Actually, that book, the domestic violence part isn't even in part 4.
Oh, okay, all right. But you said that is a series, right?
But this is the end of the series. The part with the domestic violence, I'm working on that.
Oh, okay. So
being
it's coming
processed.
up. Okay, so you're coming up with another one.
It's going to be nice and juicy.
Okay.
And it's going to have all how can I say it, aspects of the system.
Right.
And how.
Do you have suggestions on how to improve it? I know you're laughing, but you should think about it and put it in your book.
More
because
empathy,
you know what?
compassion.
I do, but the fight is going to be, how can I say it? It's going to be a fight. I've actually, I don't know, Iyanla Vanzant is her name. She and I spoke via email and things. She said, Nicole, you're doing a wonderful job and everything, but as a survivor, like, dealing with the system is hard. And it is because, you go in and you say this and that, and they look at you like, whatever, you're just another victim. But in my personal opinion, it's all about the money. Each person that comes in there with a claim or whatever, a petition, it's oh, we got another case. Everybody in the court system, they have to eat as well. And when you have children involved, it's all about bucks. And they'll take a person's child, a victim's child, and place it with the abuser in a heartbeat. I heard you say something earlier in New York State.
Yes.
And I'm not even going to say it.
Right.
Because when you speak it, is what happened. I'm actually going through that now. But being that the individual has an abusive history, that I have.
You should have hope, because I will tell you my own personal experience with that, in that when I had to go and prove exactly that I had gone through domestic violence, I had a police report to show the judge, several police reports to show the judge, hey, listen, this is what happened. He's fighting for custody. Are you kidding me? You're going to give custody to the abusive father. Look, here's my proof. Here are the police reports. And the judge took a look at it, and he was like, well, and there's orders of protection here that were signed. So the answer is, hell no, he doesn't get the kids.
And that's the thing, because as we speak, there's a new judge. And I said, you know what, they have judges that are very fair, yes. Then they have those that are seasoned, And it's like, once they're seasoned, it's almost like, the movie The Stepford Wives.
Yes.
Everybody does the same
robots.
thing. Yeah. And then you sit there and wonder, like, what are you reading? What are you listening to? Do you not see this man? It's in black and white. This individual has a history.
The judges become numb to it.
Of abuse.
Yes, Jordan, that's
numb.
true.
They
want to manipulate it to their way.
They see you as a number.
That's all it is. It's just another case.
And prejudices.
The file, it's ridiculous. I call this the family court a circus.
It is a circus.
AKA House of Corruption.
Okay.
Now you have law guardians.
Amen to that. That's true.
But those jokers, they're funky too.
Oh, everybody is. Everybody is.
Now you're paying attorneys, an attorney or attorneys, depending on if there's, several that you may need to prove your case.
That's right.
It was during another interview, you asked me if the publishing of the books, if it was expensive. It is, especially when you're in a tight budget and your funds are going elsewhere. You have to take care of your children, take care of the home that individuals don't want to sign off on. It's all about control, being manipulative and controlling, even though they're outside of the house. CPS, another organization, a joke. The kids can be going through hell, but they don't see it.
That's right.
Kids fall. Do you know how many kids have fallen through the cracks? It's not fair to these innocent souls, young souls, that deserve a fulfilling life. Do you see what I'm saying? They don't see that.
No, and what they don't see is the end result. So if we don't take care of the children, what ends up happening is that the children end up traumatically affected. So they end up with post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm a psychotherapist, I can talk about this. And in essence, the whole system, because it is all about money and feeding off one system to the other system, the children grow up in just a broken atmosphere with distorted perceptions of what their life should be like, and lost because they don't have the structure needed to keep them in a foundation where they feel secure. And they don't know what's going on. They're young, they're innocent, and as time goes by, they become broken.
And it's unfortunate that those kids may grow up becoming criminals because of their background and what they're going through life.
And that's because the system allows the cycle to continue. That's all that is. You see, the system is something else.
It's repeating itself.
And
Exactly.
the funny thing is, the people who are put in the position to call the shots, they're not brought up in environments to really
Dysfunctional.
understand what people are going through in the bottom. You know what I'm saying? They was brought up privileged. You know, they went to a great school system. Like I mentioned earlier, you know, they don't really understand the circumstances that certain people are living in. So therefore, they're quick to judge without, you know, being in their shoes, really. You know, I feel like, I honestly believe in order to really understand a person, you have to understand the walk of life that he come from. You know what I'm saying? Before you judge and point fingers on you know, certain people. You know what I'm saying?
So what might be a good solution? Maybe hire consultants to judges?
To be honest with you, the best solution I could think of is, you know, communication. Really, I feel like if we had television shows or movies, you know, that really, you know,
depict
we do, but it's not really
real.
It's not really real. Yeah, they need to. Yeah, exactly. They need to have movies where, you know, a woman is dealing with a husband, and that husband is very abusive. You know what I'm saying? Or they can have a movie, you know, depicting a kid who went through an abusive background, and he grows up being an abusive husband, so that you can understand why people are a certain type of way.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody, to be honest with you, when a baby is born innocent.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? A baby is not bad, a baby is not good, it's born innocent. But his upbringing, you know, it molds the type of individual he becomes later in life. It's a clear example of nature versus nurture. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe people. I'm the way that I am because the school system that I went to. Because my family pretty much climbed the social ladder. You know, I was born in East Flatbush. I moved to Hollis, Queens. Then I moved to Queens Village, Queens. Then I moved to Medford, Long Island. And the part of Medford, Long Island I lived in, you know, was right near North Bellport. You know what I'm saying? So I got to see different social classes and different types of people. You know what I'm saying? And because of that, I have a very broader, you know, perspective on how certain people act and the circumstances that certain people are. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, because I have a lot of friends who are quickly to be like, oh, look at this white trash, or look at this ghetto person. And I'm like, you can't really call them. It's like, you would have been the same way had you was brought up under those circumstances. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like the way you are is who, you know, is your upbringing.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, so we're born with 3 fears. And one of the fears we're born is the fear of loud noises. One of the fears that we're born with is abandonment. Okay? And the last fear is, well, the fear of not having food, right?
Yeah.
So hunger. So everything else we learn. All our other fears we learn. And then we become paranoid or neurotic, or we accumulate all these layers through our experience, starting from here, from the moment in vitro, when they're in the belly, inside your belly. They hear the sounds. They know this now. So if there's fighting going on while the baby's inside the
They mimic
in
it.
vitro, the baby actually feels the frequency of the energy that's going on in the environment. And then when the baby comes out, I've treated many women where they've suffered domestic violence during their pregnancy, where they've been beaten, and after the child's born, the baby's in the crib, and the violence is happening right there.
Witnessing it at a
And
young
people think
age.
that the children don't know, but they're babies, but they pick it up.
Yeah, and you know what's sad? It's like the kid could lose his innocence that way.
Quickly.
You know what I'm saying?
Immediately.
You ever heard the saying, you could turn water into lemonade, but you can't turn lemonade into water? In other words, once it's tinted, you can't really go back.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So once the innocence is gone, you know, it may, unless you find religion. I find that when people have faith, their inner core changes. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But it might,
Interesting.
if that person don't see that light, it might progress into something much worse. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
Can I say something on that? Religion. A lot of abusive individuals use that as a cover-up.
Yeah, that's true too.
You know, they'll be in church Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3-4 hours. It starts with how you think. You can be in the house of the Lord all day, but if your mind isn't right,
Yeah.
you see what I'm saying? Because I know
You're right.
people like that, and I look at them, I'm like, seriously, stop using spirituality.
You know what it is?
As a cover up. And then you go out there and you do and you say and do damaging things to little people.
Yeah.
That's the epitome of evil.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And you said something earlier. People love to because of their upbringing, whatever. Like, you know, I've never walked that path. I had a law guardian, not a law guardian. Sorry. What do you call the attorneys that they assign to you if you're broke? Legal aid. That joker told me, my children never had to go through this before because my wife and I, we never argued. Buddy, did I ask you that? I'm here asking you to represent me in the best way possible. I did not ask you for all of that. You see what I'm saying? So you see, the system, yes, they need to be, first of all, they need to clean everybody out. Start out fresh. Because these people they're set in their ways. You know, you come in there with your problems. Oh, here's another one.
They're jaded.
Yeah, we're not here to judge. We're human. We're not here to judge. That day will come. That person will deal with it. But until then, we got to learn to deal with one another the best way we possibly can in order to make our stay here peaceful.
I also think that those that are sitting with the black gowns on need to be rotated more often because they become sedentary in their ways, their thinking becomes stagnant, and they lose that empathy and that compassion for the people that are sitting in front of them. So if they were rotated, they would see different people and different types of energy, different type of cases.
And they also should have like documentaries on how people live in the ghetto and documentaries on how people live and just to show people who are not under those circumstances how it really is. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe you should do the documentary, right?
Yeah.
But let me say this as well. It's not only you see this abusiveness is not only in the ghetto. I forget there's a lot of celebrities.
Hey, listen,
a lot of celebrities.
When I was living in a $1 million house.
You see, and getting busted lips and stuff, right? So it's not how can I say it? Right. That it's not that.
No,
it's not that at all. But I hear what you're saying. Like they need to like. It's about exposure.
Yeah.
Right.
But many people, just to play devil's advocate, many people may argue and say that, well, it's possible to climb the social ladder. You know what I'm saying? But in the words of Malcolm X, he stated that if you're taught that you never accomplish anything, you will never achieve anything. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it is important to teach black children about their history and all their accomplishments to have that self-esteem that they can do it. You know what I'm saying? If they're not taught their history, you know, it's almost like, you know, you're keeping them under because there's no example put in front of them that would help them to like, okay, I could do it because he did it. You know what I'm saying?
Inspire them.
Inspiration. You know what I'm saying?
Like Muhammad Ali. They were talking about Muhammad Ali this week, and how inspiring he was to the young people. Including myself. I remember being 12 years old on the school bus. It's like ingrained in my memory about his bravado. And I, being of Hispanic descent and also having experienced certain things in my world, felt the strength of his character and his role modeling. And oh my God, he spoke up and he spoke out and he didn't give a.
And
he beat his own drum.
There you go. And that's what the old African proverb saying: "It takes a village to raise a child." You see, because a lot of people looked up to Muhammad Ali. He spoke out definitely.
But you know what's sad also? I honestly believe, you know, in regards of, you know, low economic communities, I feel like the crack epidemic really changed everything. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you're living in the ghetto at one point was actually livable because there was a lot of factories, everything was industrial, and you know, it was like a village. You know, a lot of people communicate with one another, work. But as soon as the crack epidemic came, you know, a lot of parents became hooked on drugs. You know, a lot of people died from AIDS, from, you know, sharing needles. You know what I'm saying? It just really shifted, you know, Black America, not even Black America, ghetto America pretty much. You know what I'm saying? And it really changed our culture. And I feel like there's a big difference between pre-crack epidemic Black culture from post-crack epidemic black culture. Not only that it changed the culture, it changed the way we speak, our fashion, the music, the way we express ourselves. Because when the environment changes, it affects the behavior of the people who living in the environment. So when it's time for them to express themselves, the music is going to be very hostile and aggressive because art is a reflection of life. So I feel like the best way to fix the problem is to change the environment. We need to provide more food. I mean, we'll provide more food. We need to get more jobs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of businesses are shutting down. A lot of factories are shutting down. With the what you call that? There was a name, I forgot. Gentrification, yeah. But the gentrification. Yeah. Am I pronouncing it right?
You are. That's a very big word because it means so much, that gentrification.
Yeah, and the thing is, because of the economic difference between black Americans and white Americans, what's happening is when whites move into a black neighborhood, because of the tax difference, the property value goes up. So therefore, the blacks who can't afford a good job, they unfortunately have to get kicked out because they can't afford to live there anymore. You know, and it's the same thing vice versa. If the property value within white neighborhoods go down, blacks sees that and then they go to the white. So it's like it's quite obvious that there is a big economic gap between white people and black people. And I feel like the only way to fix it is, like I said earlier, is to teach black children about their history so that they could be up there on the same level as white people, and then hopefully once we see eye to eye, we could get together and be one within our culture, I guess.
So the stressors, the economic stressors, not having money, not having a job, the stability of the family, these do add to domestic violence.
Absolutely.
There's no question about that.
All the stress, not finding a job.
Absolutely.
Like men, believe it or not, have egos. If a man,
we all have egos.
Well,
but you're right.
Men, for some reason, it burdens us when we can't provide for our wife and children.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that right there, it sets a tone.
The mind.
It destroys the mind and it breaks the family, unfortunately.
But see, that's where communication comes in. You know what I mean? First of all, when you're in a relationship, marriage, whatever, it's about teamwork.
Yeah.
If you can't sit and say, come home and tell your wife, look, they're cutting back on the hours, or this bill is going to be paid late because such and such, then she, as your partner, your life partner, right?
Right.
She'll say, don't worry, we're going to get through this.
Well, Nicole, that comes with maturity.
Maturity. There you go. But when you have
that's
someone...
in the ideal world, though. And realistically, I'm talking that what you just said. It should be like that, but ideally, and realistically, it's not really like that. It should be like that, but it's not.
To summarize, it's all about communication.
Well, and you mentioned ego.
As an individual, as a country, as the whole community thing.
If the husband is not bringing home the butter, the wife is going to start nagging, and that right there opens the door to conflict and argument. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that all women nag, but what I'm saying is like
right, well, there are role expectations, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
There are role expectations that one agrees upon when you get married of who's going to do what in the relationship. Yeah. And so in that, if you don't meet the expectations, then arguments ensue,
and because not too many people can't find jobs, that's why the divorce rate has gone up throughout the years, because there's a lot of clash between men and women,
Well, it's at an all-time low right now.
Yeah.
Jordan, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been profiled?
To be honest with you, as growing up, I was very naive, so it might have happened, but it never dawned to me. Like, for example, if I came across a white guy who didn't like me because I was black, like, my first thought wouldn't be, oh, he doesn't like me because I'm black. My first thought would be, yo, this guy's just a jerk.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But, it might have happened. I'm not too sure, But to be honest with you, all my encounters with the police, it's never been a negative one.
Good for you.
I'll be honest. But at the same time, the neighborhood I was, I spent my teenage years wasn't really a bad neighborhood. So it's like I live in Medford, and I mentioned that I lived in Hollis and I lived in Queens Village and I was born in Brooklyn, but I was a youngster. I moved to Long Island when I was about 13, 14. You know what I'm saying? So I can't really, it might, if you ask somebody else who grew up in the hood, they might have a different answer than I do.
Valia, where did you grow up?
In the hood next to his.
Yeah, you lived in
Okay, so and you what your perspective is and what you've viewed amongst people your age. Was there a lot of profiling going on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely, I can definitely say yes. Yes, there definitely was. You know, just standing on the street, it was, you know, the cops would stop you. What are you doing? You know, you always get the question, the rundown of the questions of, you know, why are you out here? And then, you know,
Without cause?
you'd want, you know, kids to be outside and to be playing. Not necessarily if you're doing anything wrong. Like, I would hang out with my friends and just be on the block.
Yeah,
you know,
just like I
this-
did and we all did.
Yeah, you know, just hanging out. But it would be deemed as, you know, they would think that we're up to no good, or eventually we're gonna be up to no good. So they want to nip it in the bud as soon as possible. Go home, right? And so you know, I think that in turn too just but just to really promote the stay in the house, and you know, instead of being outside and playing and being a child, or you know, just enjoying that fresh air and that and
Right.
nature, you know, like just that sucked.
Yes. Actually, it does quite suck, because what you're talking about in that profiling, and depending on your neighborhood and what you're viewing, it sucks so bad because basically what they're doing is they're oppressing us.
Yeah.
Okay? They're saying, you better stay inside and not come out, because the minute you do come out, we're going to come and get you. So what they've caused is trauma. Once
Yeah.
again, we have to talk about trauma in our neighborhoods, because that's what they're causing to happen with our children.
And
Jordan.
they also would say that, well, black on black crime is that's the reason why there's a lot of police. But a lot of people need to understand that poverty-stricken neighborhoods, whether they realize it or not, you know, breeds crime, because the opportunities is just not there.
I want to thank all of you for being here with us this evening. It was very enlightening, very inspiring. Valia, I'm very, very proud of you. I'm so excited about your future. Stick with CODA. And if Bridie and I could be of any help to you, Nicole, Jordan, Deanna, we're here for you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being with us on Healers of Justice. Until next month,
We
be well.
thank you for joining us.
Have an awesome month.
I was got my spiel all together.